I'm just going to fill those in. So you can tell by using the dark pink against the darker pink Sharpie, you can still see those lines. Now at this point, I think it's wise to take an eraser if there's any pencil lines you do see on your paper, to go ahead and erase them because we are done using Sharpies and markers. So we don't need those pencil lines anymore. All right. Now that we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to our oil pastels. So with my oil pastels, the first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to be adding a little bit of light to her eyes. Because again, she does have these light blue eyes, but I want to make sure that they look really nice and pretty. So I'm just going to take my light blue and I'm just going to add a nice little line inside the irises. And then I'm going to actually add some white too. You can also go in and just add some lines here. In fact, I'll zoom in so you can take a look-see at those eyes, what I'm doing. So you can add those short lines. So it really makes it look a little bit more like her eyes in the movie. And same on this side. Add those lines as well. That is an optional step. You definitely don't have to do that if you don't want to. In fact, if you wanted to get a darker blue, you can even go up here and make this part just a little bit darker. All these steps are optional. They just help to make her look a little bit more realistic like she is in the movie, but that is up to you. All right, and if you're still working on those eyes, you can go ahead and pause the video if you need to. All right, now also, we are going to get started on the background, but we're not going to finish our background. You're going to take a white and you're going to draw some snowflakes. And how I'm drawing those snowflakes is I'm drawing an X with a line right in the middle, just to add those snowflakes. You should be able to see it on your paper. If you are having a hard time seeing it, no worries, it is there. So I'm just drawing an X with a line right down the middle, but I'm also adding some small dots for some faraway snowflakes. So you go ahead, grab that white oil pastel and draw those stars, or excuse me, those snowflakes that kind of do look like stars. And even though you can't see it right now, that's okay because it will show up on our final step of our picture. All right, and I'm going to put that white away, and I'm actually going to put my oil pastels aside and take out my chalk pastels. Now at this point, make sure you have erased all of your pencil lines because again, we don't need those pencil lines. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be coloring Elsa's hair. Now her hair is not as blonde as Rapunzel's, it's more of this platinum blonde. So we have this nice color right here. We're going to be using that and we're going to pinch and pull on her hair. Now it might be a little bit tricky to see on my paper, but I promise I am adding that nice color. And this part right here is part of her hair. This right here is her ear. So make sure you don't color on top of her ear. All right, once you've added that color, you're going to just take 2 fingers and blend that really nice fair blonde color on her hair. All right, I'm just going to keep blending. And I'm getting as close as I can to those lines as possible. Now, while this is a nice color, we do need to add just a little bit more shading onto it, just so it looks more like her ponytail, or excuse me, her braid. So we're actually going to be taking this dark version of that color, which is tan, and all those lines that you created, you're going to take that and gently go over those lines. It's okay if you don't get all of them. All right, once you've added that to all those spots, so don't forget one of those spots right there, you're gonna take your finger and just gently go over those lines. So we're not blending back and forth. We're just adding a little bit of dimension to her braid. Then once you're done, you're just going to tap that extra dust. If you do need to blend a little bit more, you can, but just make sure that it's not too blonde. Remember, Rapunzel's really, really blonde. Elsa's got this nice platinum blonde that almost looks silver. All right. Once you're done with that, make sure your finger is pretty clean before you move on to the skin. Now, her skin is very fair. It's almost like Snow White. So I'm actually going to go back to this first color that I used and pinch and pull, being careful to avoid her eyes. But I am going to actually take, it's a little bit lighter, more on the pink, not quite pink side, a little bit more the brown side of that lighter tan. And I'm just going to gently pinch and pull above it. I can show you that color one more time. It's this color right here. And then you're going to blend, making sure to avoid those eyes. Now, if you did get any on those eyes, that's okay. You can get your eraser. Just be careful with the oil pastel around that eye, because if you do erase it, it can smear. All right, we do want to first erase any extra dust that we got on her eyes and her eyelashes, because now we're going to add some shading. So I do want to get that more, it's kind of like a little bit more orange, just the color I used before. I'm going to add some shading under there and also at the bottom of her hair here. I'm going to take my finger and just gently blend back and forth to add that nice shadow. And don't forget, you want those eyes colored, or those ears colored as well. In fact, just to differentiate between the ears, I'm going to take that color again, bring it over, and color. Now, we're not quite done with Elsa's face. As I mentioned earlier, she does have some makeup on, but first I do want to take that same orangish tan color and just add the bridge of her nose. All right. If you have that extra dust, go ahead and tap it on your table. Now what we need to do is we're going to be adding some blush. Now we need to be careful with this blush because the more we add, the more she's going to look like a clown. So I'm just taking this nice pink and very, very carefully, I'm just going to go in a soft circular motion. Be extra careful. And I'm going to take my finger and very gently go in circular motions and blend. And you can even take those circular motions a little bit more down her jaw to really blend that blush. Because we want it to be subtle. We don't want too much of it. I feel like I don't have enough on that side though. So I'm going to add just a little bit more. All right, and if you see any smudges on your paper, make sure to take care of those with an eraser. Now, as I said earlier, she does have some eyeshadow. She has this purplish pink eyeshadow. So what we need to do is we need to mix a little bit of purple and a little bit of pink together. So what we're going to do is we're first going to take that same pink that we used for her cheeks and go around her eye. Not all the way around, just roughly from the outer corner of her eye to the inner corner. Have more on the outer corner though. And then we're going to take just a little bit of purple and very carefully add that purple. Purple is a strong color like black, so you want to be extra careful. You're going to take your finger and gently go back and forth to add that nice eyeshadow. So one thing I do like about coloring Elsa is because she is probably one of the only princesses that does have any sort of makeup on her face. But you have to be very careful though, because too much chalk dust will really start to make her look like a clown painted her face. So again, just make sure to be extra soft when doing that step. Make sure your fingers are clean before moving on to her top. So I'm just going to take a wet wipe and clean those fingers super well, and also make sure they are dry, because if you do blend any chalk pastel with a wet finger, it can turn it to this cakey, muddy sort of texture, and it could ruin your picture, so be extra careful. I'm going to take my light blue and I am going to pinch and pull. And it's not a big area, so I don't need a whole lot of chalk dust. I'm going to just take one finger and blend. All right. Now the fun thing about her top is you can actually use a silver Sharpie to add those details. So first I'm going to put my chalk pastels away, and we're going to just be adding a few details onto her top. Now you can do these details in any which way you'd like, but if you want to follow along with me, you can go ahead and do so. So let me go ahead and zoom in on her shirt so you can see what I am doing. So I'm going to add some dots right here with my silver Sharpie. I'm sorry if it's hard to see that. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to then do some kind of these like triangle looking lines. And same on this side. Be careful as you are doing this on chalk pastel. It could ruin your Sharpie, so be careful. So I did that on both sides. And I'm just going to add some more dots. But you can get creative with her top if you'd like to. That is up to you. So I'm just adding more dots. And there we have that. If you want to add any more, you can. You don't have to, though. It's up to you. So your picture should look like this right now. All right, I'm going to put my silver Sharpie away, and I am going to be taking out my watercolors. Now you can use any colors that you want for your watercolors. I'm going to be using this nice turquoise blue, but I am going to mix a little bit of blue with it, just so that I have this nice blue background. Before you do paint though, I suggest looking at your picture, seeing if you have any fingerprints from your chalk pastel. Just make sure to take care of that picture. And then we can go ahead and start painting our background. So I'm going to get some turquoise blue and put it in my palette. And I want this background to be pretty dark, so I'm not going to use too much water. I definitely need to use some water so I can mix my paint, but I do want it to be really blue. So I'm going to add some regular blue to my turquoise blue. Just a tiny bit of water. And I can always go back over and add some more. So I'm just going to paint my background. And as you can see, my oil pastels are starting to show up. So I'm getting as close as I can to that hair. And if you need to make more mixture, you can go ahead and do so. So I'm just going to make a little bit more, just to make sure that it is a nice blue. Try your best to make sure that your background's blue is darker than Elsa's top. We want to make sure that we have enough values in our picture. All right, so there is that side. You can always add more if you would like. I'm just going to go over and finish off the right side. And just make sure you use those nice long strokes and you're getting as close as you can to your lines. If you find that you have puddles on your paper, take your brush and spread those puddles around because we don't want any puddles on our paper. And take that moment to get as close as you can. And if you need to go back over and make any of those areas darker, you can go ahead and do so. So I'm just going to go through one last time to make sure it's nice and evenly distributed paint. Just make sure you're not adding too much paint because you don't want to rip your paper. All right, so getting close still, really spreading that paint. So that way my background really stands out against Elsa. Now you can be finished here with your picture if you would like to, or you can take it a step further by adding some glitter glue and gems, which I'm going to be adding some gems to my picture as well as glitter glue. So first add those gems. And I have a variety here, but let me just go ahead and take those out for a moment. You can add those gems wherever you would like. I find that less is more though, so I'm just going to add a few onto her outfit, such as right here. And then I can add some gems to some of those snowflakes. Now they might not stick as well if your background's still wet, so maybe hold off on adding any of those gems until your picture is dry. I'm just going to add a few here and there, and I can even add some light blue gems too for more of those snowflakes. All right, you can also, if you would like, add that glitter glue. So for my glitter glue, the first thing I'm going to do is paint her lips. Now again, I find that less is more, so I'm just going to add just a tiny bit. I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm just going to dab on her lips to add a little bit of sparkle. And just make sure you do clean your brush if you do switch any colors with your glitter glue. Also, you can take silver and you can draw in some snowflakes if you would like. I also like to just go over those snowflakes, squeeze out a little bit of silver if it would like to come out. There we go. And you can add in some more glitter to those snowflakes. And go through and tap to add even more glitter. I find this makes the picture look really nice, makes it really stand out some more. You can even, if you would like to, take that silver and you can add it on top of Elsa's shirt. So let me just get a little bit of glitter there and just dab. If you do brush it back and forth, That brush will want to just pick up the sparkles and it will end up more on your brush than on your actual picture. So I find that just tapping that glitter on the paper works a lot better. So I'm just going to tap some more, add a little bit more glitter. And there we go. And you can add as much glitter as you want. If you want to add just a little bit to her eyes, you can as well. But that is up to you. So I'm just going to leave my picture like this, and I'm going to let it dry and set it aside so I can clean my table. But that is it for learning how to draw and color Princess Elsa. So make sure to clean your table as well so this can dry. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a lot of fun learning how to draw Queen Elsa. And please post your pictures on our Febo Village page on Facebook. We would love to see them. And we will see you next time. Bye.